Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of ADA, taking a look at the most recent price action, what's been going on there, jumping into the world of data and news and giving my thoughts and opinions on where I think things are heading. Now as I get into today's video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the YouTube channel, why not go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching this on Twitter, do us a solid, give us a follow and a retweet. Really do appreciate those things. Helps kind of push the content out to more like-minded individuals. Let's go ahead and jump right down into today's video for Cardano. So we're going to kick things off with the 1 hour time frame. And things have changed quite a bit. I've cleared off some of the old analysis that we had here because our structures have basically turned and morphed into these really impulsive structures, whereas we were looking at them previously as a corrective. Okay, so we have to kind of consider everything that's going on within these patterns and what it might mean for ADA slightly longer term. Ultimately, we are not done with moves to the downside. So this is a part of our bigger plan on the larger daily and weekly timeframes. Obviously, we'll talk more about those in a moment. In terms of our hourly here, we need to consider the impulsions that we are seeing within our structures here. Okay, so clear moves to the downside, bounces up, and then we're going to be looking for continued moves. So let's go ahead and just do some sense checks. We're going to measure the distances here on this high and this low. We move this over to here, we can see that we hit the 1.618. So to keep things nice and simple without kind of worrying about all the noise in between, we can see wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, up here's wave 4, we're going to come down for wave 5. The only way that you prevent this from happening, the fifth wave to be prevented, is for the price action to come up here and invalidate by going up higher than wave 1, because it's an unbreakable rule in Elliott wave theory. Wave 4 is not allowed to cross wave 1 unless it's a diagonal, and this is not a diagonal. This would be an impulsion. So with this being said, that invalidation line is quite clearly up here at 28.22 cent. Okay, so if the fourth wave here were to move up, we know that we don't have this fifth wave move to the downside. We can come down in a different pattern, but it wouldn't be this particular pattern that would go down in. Where does the fifth wave target? Well, the fifth wave target's right in here. So let's go ahead and just do some sense checks there. If we've already topped out, which is a big if, because it is still possible that we rally on up a little bit further here, but we are overbought now on the 8, 4, and 1 hour time frame. So chances are we are looking to top out right where we are. This is upper area of resistance right in here as well. So this is the obvious area for rejection. So we should be thinking the price action here is to move on down right into this little range, basically between 21.9 and 23.02. That would be a new bear market low if it goes to the lower side of the spectrum here. But yeah, it is kind of what it is. On the way to the journey to the downside here, we filled out all those fair value gaps that we were talking about from a few months ago. A lot of people didn't want to believe it, but there you go. We filled them all out now. So all fair value gaps filled out. And we suspect new bear market lows are just around the corner. Now this here, as you can kind of see, just on our hourly chart, would basically finish off a 5-wave pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up now into a larger time frame, because it's important that we reflect on what that looks like. Okay, so we know we've got further downside here. I'm just going to clear out some of the noise. And we can see that we have got this potential move a little bit deeper to finish off what will be a wave 3. So on our daily time frame here, okay, the issue that we have is we have a wave 1, wave 2, coming down into a wave 3, which will finish somewhere around here, up for 4, down into 5. Okay, this actually does complete, and we'll kind of be moving into the range that we're going to talk about on the weekly time frame in a moment, does complete out an A, B, C structure like this, okay, as a zigzag pattern. So for the most part, we can see here that on our daily time frame, this is kind of what we're looking for. On the hourly chart, what we're talking about is essentially this one here. Could be more here, 1, 2, 3, which is yet to kind of finish, 4, and then 5. All of that there essentially becomes our wave 3, and then we'll go up into a bigger wave 4. Invalidation on that would only really occur if we were to come down above or go up above 30 cent, which is unlikely at this point, and then come down deeper towards our 18 cent range. And so from our daily time frame here, this C wave is basically a 5-wave drop. And yeah, basically would complete our structure here. So new bear market lows, I do think, are around the corner for Cardano's ADA. But that isn't to say that I'm, bearish on the project long term, because I do think it's going to perform incredibly well. It's more to say that we've got some short-term price action to the downside, and that is a huge, massive opportunity, right? I did put a video out, I think yesterday, talking about 14,000% in gains. And these are based on the idea that we go down to 18 to 15 cent on the lows, and we see a really nice strong rally that we actually mirrors that of what happened previously, right? So we do kind of believe long term that ADA is in a really good, strong position. We talk about this a lot from the fundamental side of things. Let's take this up into a weekly time frame, where we can see that Z wave pattern that I've been talking about, right? And everything that's going on right now is essentially just that 3-wave move, and we're talking about coming down to 15 to 18 cent. So nothing that's happened in the last kind of, few days is unusual in any way, shape, or form. This is kind of what we've been talking about. Now, we were kind of hoping that maybe we could come up and tap into the 50 and 200 EMAs, but that hasn't been the case. Instead, we just have moved down, courtesy of some fundamental shifts in the real world, such as, Evergrade and so many other things that are bubbling in the background. So for this move to the downside, it's not unusual. It's kind of been as expected. Stochastic RSIs are correcting over the weekend, also as expected, and what we were talking about on our AMA with our members yesterday. So essentially, it looks like a big reset where we are looking and targeting down even deeper. So ADA at the moment, 15 to 18 cent. We'll see how it reacts, but that is the obvious area at the moment. We can, of course, see potential moves down to 8 cent, but I don't think that's something that's likely to happen unless Bitcoin goes down into a new lower low. Ultimately, this move here for ADA to get to 15 to 18 cent is when Bitcoin's at 20K, right? And so we'll have to kind of see how that would play out. But for the most part, I'm confident long term on ADA. And all at the moment we're looking at here is the corrections that we've been articulating for a little while and expecting. The 15 to 18 cent range, if you remember, you know that this is not an unusual price. We've been talking about this for a very long time, and we're just navigating our way down there. Ultimately, we now see a path where we can actually achieve 15 to 18 cent. And so now is the time to kind of really be thinking about dollar cost averaging and all that wonderful stuff, right? Now is not the time to be panic selling, in my opinion. Wealth is made during these times of volatility and times of fear, okay? And that's really where the hard work kind of comes in. So from the analytical standpoint, yeah, it's kind of all on track. Nothing unusual, in my opinion, occurring here. Let's go ahead and take this up a level into some data, right? So here we have our membership website, membership.𝗕𝗘𝗪crypto.io, linked in the description below or in the link tree if you're watching on X. Every plan that we have has a 7-day free trial, so you can test it before you commit to it long term. I believe that once you test it out, you'll want to stick around, right? Because there's so much value added across various different levels. There's different types of levels or plans here. Everything from the basic level all the way through to basically absolutely everything that we have to offer: course material, data, on-chain analysis, all the way through to technical analysis on request, all that kind of stuff. For the purpose of this video, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over into what we call the data zone. Inside here is a Cardano on-chain analysis, and we're going to bring that up here. Okay, we have 3 tabs: overview, liquidations, and wallets. On the overview here, we can see all-time high, $3.10, 716 days from since the all-time high. We're 91.38% down. When I ran this data, of course, it was this morning. It does change a little bit, but I only aggregate this data on this overview tab once a day, whereas liquidations run every hour and wallets run every hour. Gas fee, the average gas fee is basically 0.35 ADA. The average transaction value for Cardano is actually $36,000, which is actually quite nice to see. It's quite meaty size transactions. 55,000 transactions in the last 24 hours at a cost of $5,000. Ultimately, 41,000 active addresses and 4.4 million active or accounts total. Interesting overview stats. If we go to the liquidation side, $312,000 of liquidations in the last 24 hours. Binance being the exchange with the most amount of liquidations, $123,000. 38.8% were long positions and 61.13% were short positions. Basically, people were entering their shorts at the wrong time after the move to the downside. So you always expect a bounce. So people were trying to catch a falling knife, I think, from that kind of standpoint. Binance represents 39.61% of the liquidations. OKX is 27%, Bybit 21%. CoinEx is unusually high. I find that a bit weird, but 10%. And to put that into clarity, that was $32,000. CoinEx has been climbing the rankings a little bit on ADA. I find it unusual. Obviously, read into that as you will. Wallets is where things really get interesting, right? We can go take a look. We've got 10 different size wallets. Really, we're only going to focus on the higher wallets because these are big money. And when big money moves, we get a bigger clarity over kind of what's going on. Now, yesterday, 1 million ADA or more, there were 2,851 wallets. We can see that that is up 0.67% in the last 7 days. It's up 2.6% in the last 30 days, up 4.82% in the last 90 days, up 3.61% in the last 180 days, and reasonably flat at 0.2 for the last 365 days. It shows us that actually over the last kind of few months, we've seen accumulation happening at that really wealthy level for ADA. It's no surprise. When we take this down to 100,000 ADA or more, we can see there's 24,000 wallets. And again, it's all positive. It's all increasing in all accumulation. We can see this also on the graph here as the light blue line are the wallets and the dark blue line is the price. As price is coming down, accumulation is happening, and it's happening at the wealthy level. 10,000 or more, very similar story. Price is going down, accumulation is happening. Again, 1,000, you can see this price goes down, accumulation happens. A little bit less at the moment, lots of panicking retailers. It's kind of what you see going on here is that generally retail doesn't take advantage of the big swings in the market. They kind of fear that, or they get greedy and think they can just keep buying down lower, lower, lower. Ultimately, though, we can see that across the board, we actually have some pretty decent accumulation for ADA, and this is a good sign for the future, in my opinion. Now, if we take a look at some news, we do have very little in the way of recent news for ADA, and all I could really find kind of digging around for things on the Cardano side is Charles Hoskinson criticizing Ethereum's programming model. And well, I criticize Ethereum every day if I could, because I just disagree with some of the foundational things that are going on there from a programming a model kind of point of view. But just like the fee structures are just pointless. It's just unnecessary, and I disagree with it. And I said it many times before, and I'll say it again. Ethereum is the most expensive shitcoin at this point. If it costs you $100 or $200 to move $100, then what is the point in even trying to utilize it? It breaks my mind trying to think that people want to build on Ethereum, and they just want to kind of try to capitalize in on a rather old and aging community that were there in the early days. Essentially, I much prefer to think of new projects that are more efficient across the board with lots of different metrics that kind of look at to get you there. So again, it's not a surprise that people are criticizing Ethereum. So obviously Charles Hoskinson celebrated the wins of his blockchain network. At the same time, he slammed Ethereum's response to the community troll. So yeah, he's just responding to trolls. I wish Charles Hoskinson does that quite a bit, to be fair. I don't see why, but yeah, I get it to a point, because I do the same on the YouTube comments from time to time, right? The negativity can get to you if it's this constant barrage of negativity all the time. But for the most part, nothing else really news-wise going on from a Cardano standpoint. Obviously, we've got some very cool, fantastic things that have happened recently. All the scalability stuff, the Hydra and the Mithril, and the transaction throughputs. And we've seen a lot of really good stuff going on from total value locked and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like I'd be repeating myself if I was to bring that up in the video. So let's go ahead and move on, because the other thing that I really do want to kind of talk about a little bit is the exchanges and the exchange side of things. So we obviously do see that there's a lot of liquidations that are occurring for Cardano's ADA. And I just want to kind of make a point here that it's really useful to make sure that you have exposure or have signed up and have accounts with as many different exchanges as you possibly can. Okay, and the reason for this is that you don't know which ones are going to be around long term, and when they are around long term, there's so many users that have logged on or trying to log on when they're all trying to sell their assets, for example. You have to hope that you can log in, and you're not going to be stuck in a queue waiting to kind of log on to a platform. The platform is just kind of constantly going down because you're just too much demand to kind of log on. And so we saw this time and time again over the previous bullish markets, where millions of people were trying to log on to these platforms to try to sell their assets. And obviously, these websites cannot cope with that amount of demand. So it's good to make sure you have access to as many different exchanges as you possibly can. My personal favorites at the moment are BitGet, where I do 100% of my leverage trades, 90 to 95% of my spot trades. There's an affiliate link in the description down below for BitGet. And if you do use that link, you'll be eligible for up to $8,000 of rewards, depending on how much you actually deposit and trade on the platform. So lots of good things going on there. I do use Binance, I use Coinbase, I use KuCoin, Gate.io, Crypto.com, and so many others as well. It's always great to actually have access to all of these exchanges. Know how to deposit fiat, how to withdraw fiat, how to deposit crypto, withdraw crypto. Do you need to link your bank accounts? Do you need to do KYC? These are all very important things that you do in the bear market to set yourself up for the future. Which brings me on to the trade side of things. Now, from a trading point of view, is there anything that I would be looking to kind of do here for ADA? I would say yes. I think we're getting ready for a short, but I would probably wait a little bit more. I want to get confirmation of it. I would say that we could probably look at doing a short position on ADA when we get a bit more of a confirmation on it. For example, if we're able to kind of get in, let's say market value right now, stop loss above that swing wave one swing high or swing low right here, and then we basically target out our low range down here for our fifth wave movement for a 14% move without leverage, which will be very, very meaty with the leverage, right? So the reason I say I'd wait on this is I think that we might still be able to push up a little way higher before we have this move to the downside. So we'll just keep a close eye on that. Or we just get confirmation that we're reversing and then we can jump in on it. 14% points is good. It allows us to have a little bit of breathing room when it comes to choosing our entries. And we can try to be, snipey if we want, or we can just wait for confirmation and kind of go for it. But I do think we've got to be shorting ADA here, overbought, so expect price movements to the downside. With good risk management, we can get a decent 2.6%. If we, as long as we have a good stop loss here just above that wave one, we should be good. If we break the wave one, we're breaking the structure anyway, so the trade would be void. So that's kind of where you put the stop loss in terms of this one. But there's many other opportunities I think to come, so do watch out for those. As I said, ultimately I am targeting out that 15 to 18 cent on those macro level timeframes. I'm going to leave the video right there though, guys. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.